Hello everybody, welcome to the May Studio Chat. I'm Cole and I'm joined today by the debut of Alita. Alita, what's your job? You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Alita. I'm the production assistant here. I work a lot on the back end of early projects, building out kind of the component tree, the files, and early boxes.
Yeah.
Little spoiler.
Alita has worked in detail on Marauder. Was it your first one?
Yeah. I was here
you-
on the clockwork for Marauder.
Yeah, that's right. Alita played a lot of games of the bots in Clockwork 2.
Clockwork 2, I might have the most hours on of
just
anyone.
in the world. And then has worked in detail on basically the back ends of almost all the projects since then. So for almost 3 years, and it's been too long. and now you get to be on the studio chat.
Usually I'm on that side of the wall.
It's true. Especially before we had Matt and it was real scrappy.
Yeah.
Alita and I were just juggling who was going to run the stream on the back end. So
I remember sending Matt the spreadsheets of our inventory
Yes.
of streaming equipment for his visits.
Which is to say, an instrumental member of the creative team here at Leader Games. It's true. There's no sarcasm in that at all. So I'm going to ask you the question I ask everybody, but probably the one I know to a T what game Patrick's been playing lately. It's Power Wash Simulator.
Or Spirit Island.
Or Spirit Island. But I actually have no idea. What have you been playing lately?
I've been playing actually a lot of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, specifically Carlton House.
Okay, wait. What is Carlton House a new expansion for it?
It is not new.
Sorry.
It's like 3 back. It was
insane.
Second
okay.
or third.
I think I only have the first expansion for that game.
I'm gonna be real. It included blueprints, and that's why I got that version.
Okay, see, this is good. I had like an actual moment of fear once playing that, like the original sessions.
Ooh,
we
yeah.
were all like candlelight lit. We were writing down a lot of notes, and we just sort of, as a group, spooked ourselves. And it was one of the first times I had ever spooked myself with a bunch of grown-ups essentially reading a book together. But it worked.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, once I finish this one, I think I'm gonna do the Jack the Ripper one.
Okay.
But I've been doing a nice little ritual of every weekend, like morning light, get coffee, and do 1 case. It's been beautiful.
It is such a remarkable game. I adore it, and I would be playing it more, except I think Kyle Farron still has my copy because I let him borrow it 4 years ago.
Oh no.
And he took it home. So if you're in chat, Kyle, I'll get it when I see you later. Although he might have given it back. I don't know. I have
Tell him to bring it to Gen Con.
I used to have like my notebook of all of our collected notes. That before I let Kyle borrow it, I took it out, and I find that notebook constantly. I'm like,
no.
what is this weird owl notebook? And I open it up, and I'm like, oh, it's the notes of a maniac. Oh wait, Sherlock Holmes. It's Sherlock Holmes' notebook. I think everybody should have a random Sherlock Holmes notebook somewhere in their house.
You need esoteric notes that make somebody worried about you.
Yes.
It's a key component.
It's true.
Just in case you get murdered.
Well, I've been playing, I was playing a lot of Riven a few months ago, and I kind of forced myself to take notes. I didn't force myself. There's a funny thing that happens with Riven where you'll start solving a puzzle, but because of the internet,
Yeah.
you're like, it could take me 5 minutes to decode this alphabet, or I could just image search, and it's not really cheating because I would have gotten there anyway. But I made this very hard call. I will absolutely take notes and try to beat Riven, and I have not yet beat Riven, but I'm halfway through. I stopped right when it got really hard.
Classic. No, I've been having the moral struggle of the solo game where
No one will know. No one will know.
you could just, what was it, Grimm's something. It's your sci-fi cowboys, and it can be played solo, co-op, or duels.
Okay.
And there's so much combat gating, and I'm like, I could just skip the
You
combats.
can just
No
skip
one's
those pages.
here.
No one's there.
I don't have to learn how to do
There
that.
was a shove and sit down review for Seafall that came out many years ago, which they did not like Seafall at all, but they did say it's kind of worth getting and just looking at all of it because it's filled with cool ideas.
Yeah.
And I feel that way about mini legacy games. If there's a legacy game that I have for some reason and I've stopped playing it or enjoying it, I will just read it and kind of get,
Yeah.
I'll get what's going on.
Sometimes it's fair. You paid for it.
You paid for it. It's fine. No one's going to stop you. We have been, I've been playing Dungeon Quest, which is a very silly Fantasy Flight dungeon crawler. It was actually an older, I think it was a Swedish game originally, but it is a, like, you flip a tile and the tile might be like, you stepped on a bomb, you're dead. And then it's whoever gets out with the most money. So it's not even a very good push your luck game. In fact, every single system in the game is like pretty bad, and yet, it coheres. It fully makes sense when you're playing it. It's very easy to teach, and at the end of the game, you're like, could we like play it again? It feels like a Spelunky run. Like sometimes when you play Spelunky, the most unfair nonsense happens to you, and you're like, yeah, maybe a different thing will happen the second time. But it's not a good game, but I'm drawn towards it, and I'm trying to figure out what what thing about it. Unfortunately, it is like very expensive. I'll tell you, it is not worth the $200 or whatever it goes for on eBay.
Oh no!
I found a very cheap copy of it. It's,
no.
I think it's fine. I'm having a good time with it. It also is pitch perfect for my kids at the age they're at, because
oh, nice.
Patrick and I have talked about this game Dungeon, which is an old board game from like the early 80s, late 70s. And Dungeon, I think, is actually like a very bad game that is like 5 times too long and doesn't even have good storytelling beats. And I think Dungeon Quest is the good version of Dungeon. And it's cruel, and it takes 35 minutes to play. And the used copy I have, this is my favorite. This is actually the one thing I did want to mention about the design. The used copy I have, I opened it up, I counted all the components, and then I looked at the box lid after I had done that, and everyone who had ever played had written down the date, who won, how much life they had when they won, and how much gold they had.
I love that.
And so my favorite part of Dungeon Quest
goodness.
is grabbing the Sharpie and just writing, like Auden. He exited the dungeon with 800 gold. He had 3 life left. And it's great. That's a top tier game component. Use a box lid like that.
That's very good. No, at our store we had like little solo tile laying game, Gentle Rain I think it's called.
Yes.
And we would all play separately on our shifts when we were alone, and then write down our scores in the rule book of the demo.
That's good. I had a friend in Austin who had all the Alita games, these old Euros, and they always wrote down the scores and dates on the inside boxes, and I loved it as a practice.
It's wonderful.
And it's just low baggage. I mean, like, did I really even deface the game? I don't know.
It's the box.
I'm not sad to have that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the studio, and then we have an exciting announcement, some stuff to show you. So first of all, studio is busy right now.
It's humming.
Oh my goodness. Root is in the very final stages. I think Josh said, I don't know if I can say this publicly, I'll say it to all of you, just don't tell anyone.
This is in public.
We're like a week from faction lock on the new Root stuff. Josh has like a couple of tweaks, but basically we're done. Homeland is over from a design perspective. There's some usability work. There's some art still coming in, but Homeland is going to be done within a few weeks. We are right at the end. Probably by the next design stream, when we do our June stream, it'll be like in pre-press, which is pretty exciting.
Crazy.
Or very, very final layout. Super happy with how it's all turned out. The team has done a really exceptional job. I wish I could easily share all of the kind comments that people have been writing on the testing Discord, but it has now gotten to the place where they're not even useful as comments anymore, because it's obvious that the testers are like just having fun. I need them to stop having fun, because I need them to come over to the Oath testing Discord and start working on my thing now.
Come play in the mud with us.
Yeah, come play where it's not so fun. No, that's not true. But there's this funny dynamic. It happened when we moved to digital testing, where testers, usually instead of just flaming out as the game is nearing completion because you're tired of playing it and printing out new copies, because we do all that work when we build our digital kits, it means actually that testing Discords stay busy even after they're being useful, because people just want to like play a game of Arcs as opposed to coming and helping us work on another game. And I think that is definitely present in the Root testing Discord, where I've just looked at some of the playtest reports and I'm like, y'all are just playing like the weekly game of Root here. We're not really testing anymore. But that's good, and many kudos to Josh for running what is a very difficult project.
Yeah, I He's wrangling a Bronco. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
it's really something else. So that's what's going on in Root. We're almost done. I'm sure there will be a Kickstarter update at some point with some of the final assets as those come in. You can just kind of watch your inboxes for that. Nothing new to report outside of the fact that late pledges are closing on the 9th. The 9th, with the line underneath it. These pledges are on GameFound, so if you want to make any adjustments to your pledge, please use the GameFound Pledge Manager. If you can't find it, just search your inbox. You will be able to get another invitation to it. And if you have trouble with that, contact support or a young sibling or nephew who knows about computers better than you do. They can help you get to your Pledge Manager. Okay. I'll laugh at my own joke. That's what's happening here. Other studio news, we have Ahoy, which has reached our shores. It's fully out. There it is, behind us, after all. Everyone who has, I think it's fully delivered at this point. It's fully delivered. So if you did not get your copy of Ahoy, please write to support. We will figure it out.
Andrea and Claire are standing by.
They're standing by. We need like a little, can we get like a looping video, Matt, of just like them at like phone banks that we can just be cutting to constantly? I cannot wait for people to play more Ahoy. It's been so fun to see folks like open up and be like, whoa, this is 10 times more Ahoy than they thought was even possible. It is so transformative to the base game. The example I've used in previous design chats and interviews is I'll tell people like that first game of Root you play without the cats, to me is like where Root fans are born. Like they like have that moment where they're like, oh yeah, Root, fun game. And then they play a game without the cats, and it's like 6 times more interesting and strange. All of the new Ahoy stuff is like that. If when you sub in one faction, it so dramatically changes the nature of the game. And pretty soon you'll be playing with 2 or 3 or even all of the new factions, and it just has a totally different character. And so I think I'm very excited for people to get it. You still don't have mine. Okay. Okay, sorry. There are clarifications in chat. Please, if you're watching the video on demand later, know that right now our support team is frantically assuring people in Europe that they will have their Ahoy soon. Okay.
I thought you were saying you didn't have yours, and I'm like,
No.
What happened?
Mine was handed to me. Finally, several members of our team are going to be at UKGE at the end of the month. So if you are in Birmingham around then, please come and say hi. The show will be spotlighting a whole menagerie of leader games, including, I think, some ARCs, but mostly Ahoy. There are going to be some events. I'm doing an event on the main stage on Sunday. I'll be doing a signing event on Saturday. There'll be all kinds of stuff. Generally, we are not boothing anywhere at UKGE, but a lot of us will be wearing Leader Games t-shirts, wandering around. So
we're sending so many people. You'll find one.
You're definitely going to find one of us. If there is a Viking camp this year, I will be hanging out with the Vikings for at least half of my UKGE time, although I've heard they're not going to be out there, so I'm a little sad.
You can start the camp.
I might be the first Viking. Okay, so with that said, let's talk about Oath. So Oath is in a really interesting spot. That's too qualified. Oath is very close to, let me think about the right way to say this. For a lot of Oath and Root's development, so Oath and Root were started basically at the exact same moment, the expansions. Were started at the exact same moment last February or March. We had started doing some early concepting work before then, but these projects were run in parallel. And at various points, like Oath has been a little ahead, or like Root's been a little bit ahead. And we are now at the point where like Oath became a little bit larger than Root. That's surprising. No one has ever followed any project I've ever worked on. But Root is now like ahead of Oath. So like Root, what we decided to do about a month or two ago is, as we were looking at the schedules, it was clear that like Oath was going to take probably 1 or 2 more months than Root. So it made sense to, instead of having Kyle do both of the art asks at the same time, Kyle moved all of his art efforts to Root, so he's finishing those up right now. And then as soon as Root is done, Kyle will be moving back to do the rest of the Oath art, of which there's a few months remaining. In terms of the actual dev, the games are close. I think Root's like basically a month and a half maybe ahead of where Oath has ended up, but I'm very happy that we've been able to run these projects basically simultaneously. In terms of what all that means, that's all like production level jargon. What that means is that Oath is fully design complete. We actually just did the a foundation review with the staff yesterday, and we identified 3 foundations of the 20 that felt like a little boring. They all worked, but they were just like a little boring. And so we have wilder versions that we're going to be testing over the next couple weeks. As that testing winds up, we have a lot of editorial work, rules writing, usability work, like line item content level work, just very in the weeds, very small changes that we will be doing kind of over the course of the summer while Kyle finishes the art for the game. I'm pretty excited about this because it actually mirrors how Oath was finished originally. So Oath was like behind schedule and then ahead of schedule. So like we fell behind, we gave it an extension, and then we were too fast in finishing it. And so we had this weird extra 2-month period for base Oath, which we used to just like polish the content. And I think the new Foundations is basically going to get that same like extra couple months. And so we're going to be moving to like just very detail-oriented Oath work. How's being on the Oath team been, Leah?
It's been fun.
This is like our first time.
So many rules.
Yeah, this is our first time like really being on a creative team together for an extended period of time, and it's kind of great. I've been really enjoying it.
Yeah, I would pop on in arcs as needed, but this is the first one that's been whole through.
Yep, and we have the kind of core Oath team is myself and Alita and Andrea and Clay, and then we also, of course, are joined by Liz, who has a really interesting presence on the Oath team because she is working on essentially her own project, which she's directing, which is both within the Oath project and outside of it.
Yeah.
So she participates as like a member of the Oath creative team, but sometimes the energy she brings to a meeting is, if you do this, it's going to make my life miserable because I'm trying to build a solo bot that is interesting.
I already made a rule for the thing you're throwing away, please.
Yeah, which is so useful to have in process as opposed to making all these mistakes and then having to like send it to someone like Ricky or Liz for polishing. So it's been so nice to like have her in the mix. Okay, so I want to show off some things that we did with Oath. The first one I want to show off is this cool foundation board. So these are all of the optional rules called the foundation. They're not optional rules. They are the 20 foundations of Oath. These are core rules in the design of Oath that can be altered. And we've gone through like a ton of different versions of this, and you may remember a version where I was like flipping cards back and forth in these sleeves. And we just could never get it to quite work right. And the problem was those card-driven systems took up way too much space. And what we realized was actually you want to just know offhand by looking at something, what is the status of all the rules? And the rule itself can be an icon and a category. So these 4 rules here are associated with the Chronicle phase. They all have ID numbers right here, and then this is double layered punch. So you just take the piece off, like you, and you can just flip it like that, boop. You can flip it back, like that. There you go. And actually, like, I wanted to use this opportunity to talk about like how wild some of the rules are. So like this one right here is the status of the Grand Scepter, because the Grand Scepter can be broken, which changes a bunch of rules about how relics work in the game. So this is the Unbroken Scepter. If you put that foundation there, you will flip it to its red side. In addition, every foundation that's on this board has an aid card, which describes basically all the rules that you need to know. So here's the one for the Broken Scepter. This one is about as much text as is ever on these cards. This seems like very small, at least to my eyes from here. It's not that bad, especially because the Broken Scepter, what it tells you really is it says, hey, stop playing with the reliquary and get rid of the scepter. And then all of these little rules are like very detailed rules about specific interactions. A lot of these actually work like this. So this is the Visionaries one, which you'll see as a gameplay modification. Visionaries says that, hey, face down visions no longer count against your advisor limit. So you can just have this one out. It really changes the nature of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because then players like, I mean, you want to talk about how it changes the game?
I mean, additionally, with how combat works and how you're able to target other players, you now also can target their face down cards.
Yeah.
So this allows you to both hoard cards and try to keep it away from other players, but also you become a huge target of they can kick your butt and kick all these visions back into the pool.
Right, and to me it creates this really different incentive when it comes to searching, because usually if there's a vision sitting on top of the world deck, the inclination is to not search it because it's kind of like a little stopper. You know you're going to get one card.
Yeah.
But now it's first come, first served to those visions. So if you want to grab it because a face down vision is a zero cost thing, it's not bothering you, why wouldn't you just take it to have it like in your little stable? And then what Alita was referring to with the combat rules, we've done some little adjustments to how campaign works. And now if you do a campaign route, this is like when you target a player's pawn and kick them off, they have to discard their face down relics and advisors, which means that players who are walking around with no assets and a bunch of face down cards, which in Oath can lead to like some kind of cheeky, undeserved wins, they have to now, if they're gonna play like stealthy, they have to be stealthy. They can't just like be in the middle of the city knowing that they can't be hurt because they don't have any liabilities. So
you can't brag about having the conspiracy.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so someone asked about this board, how it like holds in. If we want to switch to that camera, I'll explain. Like this is done as double layered punch, and these are going to be like quite tight fit, quite a tight fit. If you have played Iridia or a lot of other games that use double punch board, like you will probably unpunch these to get them to flip. So these aren't going to be like separate pieces that you put on. They're going to be actual fit to punch pieces. Now, if we can't get this to work, we will include a lid. So I'll just like, as a commitment, this board is stored from game to game. Now you're also storing it with these cards, so you can very easily figure out what pieces got flipped around, but it's our intent for these pieces to actually, get stuck in there. Do you want to highlight, before we leave this board, do you want to highlight any favorite foundations?
Ooh.
Including ones that we need to test more?
Yeah, the one that we need to test more is my favorite.
Okay.
So Foundation 2, I can't remember what we called it.
I gave it a silly,
right?
I gave a silly name. It is called, I didn't take it out of the box. It is called like Movers and Shakers.
Incredible. So in the current normal setup, the banks are stocked based on what cards are in the Empire and the unexplored territories as you set up. In this one, at the moment, there are no favor in banks at the start. All the favor is split amongst the players.
Yeah. So you start the game and the banks of favor are totally empty.
Yep.
And every player has a stack of 5 favor, and the game begins.
And you showing favor to the denizens is the only way that they start to be worth currency in the game.
Yeah, it's
You
it's
need a court favor for there to be favor for others to pull on.
I think like Alita has been floating this design several times throughout development. And I've always been like, no, it's not going to work. And then when we were talking about it most recently, I'm like, no, this is exactly the kind of fundamental design change that I think is.
We can make it weirder.
I think we can make it a little weirder. I think it's going to feel really good. My favorite one so far, I just introduced one that allows the chancellor to decide if the game is going to be worth twice as many points, and it's the doubling cube energy that I want in all games, and it just like allows them to like make a little gambit.
Can you tell there's been a lot of backgammon in the office?
You play a lot of backgammon games, but also Oath now has. This is something that I talked about on the Woodland Warriors. If you've been following the Oath channel, we have a meta scoring framework now for Oath, where players play several games and the first to get 40 points kind of wins the era, and then we reset the scores to 0. You can just keep playing the Chronicle. You could do a soft Chronicle reset or a full Chronicle reset, but it allows you to make like multi-game gambits. And there's some really interesting things to how we've like altered this scoring system that I think are really going to excite players who want to be thinking about the game competitively over a longer duration. Because I think this is one of the key things about New Foundations is I thought initially, we'll make Oath remember twice as much as it usually remembers, or 4 times as much. And that memory will get the players to care about what the game is. And what we found was that's true, but only for the players who were already caring when Oath had like a little 8-bit memory.
Yeah.
And so if we wanted people to really get invested in the kind of multi-generational storytelling, we had to give them some framework, some competitive framework to kind of put it in tension. And the scoring game has done that. Okay, so that's what's going on in foundations. Literally, the thing that we worked on yesterday was going through the last set of the foundations. I mean, really, we've had 20 working foundations for a while, but there were 3 that were just like a little soft-boiled, and we went in there and we got them wacky and silly, and that's what we're going to be testing for the next bit. We've also been working a lot on the traits and on the edifice system. I have some things to say about the edifice system that we'll probably save for our next design chat, or I'll write a design diary. But basically, once we figured out the meta scoring framework for the game, there were things about the traits and the edifices and the empire scoring and like what should be worth points that just like immediately snapped into focus.
Yeah.
And really, we are at the stage of the design where we are just trying to make sure that we're not breaking all the good work that we've been doing over the past year, which is fun.
It's surprising. We do have to be a little careful, but less careful than I thought.
Yeah, Oath is pretty resilient. Well, and also there have been parts where we've been able, I mean, edifices are a good example because for a long time I wanted a system that, you know, if you have a very successful empire, you can generate 3 edifices or even 4 edifices in one game. We had all these interesting, super responsive edifice systems. And we've weirdly come back to almost the base game of like, hey, the winner, you get 1 edifice. Cool, and then we move to the next game, and then if the bandits rule an edifice, it gets flipped on its ruin side. I mean, that's stuff that is not that different from the base game, but we are going from 6 edifices to 30. So, you know, there's, and the edifices, I mean, I'll just kind of fully flesh this out. The edifices are a really important element of how scoring works. So players score points for, so points are almost always scored for influence, and remember, influence is an advisor you have multiplied by the number of cards on the board. So if I have a card that says, hey, score your order influence, and I have 2 order cards, and there are 3 order cards on the board, I have just scored 6 influence, or 6 points. What the edifices allow us to do is say, hey, if you rule an edifice, it is also an influence scorer of its suit. So if you rule the keep or something, that's an order card, it's going to score you equal to your own order influence. And because it's on the board, it's also adding to that baseline. And then once we knew that the edifices were little scoring engines, it just put brought a lot of things into focus.
And these 30 aren't even counting towards the 60 new denizens. Those are entirely separate
Totally
numbers.
Totally different things.
Yeah.
And it's about time, we'll probably do this next week or the week after, we're going to be going through the original Oath card list and figuring out which cards we want to change and which cards we want to keep the same. So
We got a bit of extra room on the sheet.
We got extra room. Speaking of extra room, okay, we've buried the lead now sufficiently. We have an exciting announcement of something that we've been working on for 3 months, maybe? A long, long time. And before I do that, someone asked, will points be called points? And I'm like, I don't know, call them whatever you'd like.
We'll get there.
It's a number that you add to. But I think, like, I will probably call them legacy points or lineage points or something like that, but it's, I don't know, you can call them whatever you'd like. And how many old card edits are there going to be? My guess is about 20 cards of the base 216 or whatever are going to be altered. Maybe 20, I'm not sure. And we'll have a whole separate stream about that. Okay, so let's talk about storage. So we have a new product that we are adding to the Oath line, and we are adding it mid-campaign, not mid-campaign, post-campaign. It'll be in the Backer Kit store. And I want to talk a little bit about why we decided to do this. So when we were building the new Foundations box, we were trying to find ways to allow us to put a storage solution for Oath inside the new Foundations box. So we spent a lot of time thinking about box risers and storage trays and just trying to Tetris our way into a storage solution that could be larger on the inside than it was on the outside. I mean, it was kind of a cursed project. And
Just a little.
what we found was it was going to be expensive either way,
Yep.
and it wasn't fundamentally the best way to store Oath, right? I mean, I think that was really what we ran into. It's like, okay, part of New Foundation's budget is going to a storage solution that is not ideal, and it is then stopping us from spending New Foundation's money on New Foundation stuff, and also stopping the storage solution from being as good as it can possibly be. So at some point, a couple months ago, I remember having a meeting with you, Alita, where I said, what if we were to make an Oath box that was like the ideal oath box. And we don't worry about cost. We don't worry about anything. And I just said, just start with roughly this size and go for it. And you have been leading, along with Megan, this engineering project that we have been working on for 2.5 months.
Sounds about right.
It sounds about right. Anyway, and here it is. This is.
Yeah, bring me my
Yeah,
baby.
wait. Go to the other camera. I want people to see it.
This camera's way better.
See it. Oh, it's the Oath storage box. It has no other name.
Oath Twilight Edition.
So this cover is not final. This cover is something that Megan lovingly made for us and hand inked. And so like this is not actually spot UV or anything. The idea is going to be kind of a Twilight treatment of the Oath cover with probably gold or silver foil lettering. And this box is the same size. It's even the same box.
It's not just roughly.
It's Blighted Reach.
It just is.
Anyway, it is designed to hold all the Oath materials you would need when you played New Foundations. So it can hold Oath plus New Foundations plus the Denizen deck plus both deluxe component boxes plus the stuff that Liz is working on.
Yes.
And it holds it in a way that makes sense. Like
revolutionary.
It is just, I mean, the thing about the Blighted Reach box, I'll wax poetic about the Blighted Reach box.
It's so beautiful.
It's very beautiful. It took a long time to work on, but we really designed it so that it sped up play. We wanted it not sped up play, but sped up setup and teardown. Because we were like, look, the Blighted Reach box, we want people to be able to like jump a campaign out of it in 5 to 10 minutes, pack it away in 5 to 10 minutes. And because big boxes, they take up shelf space. They're hard to put in a backpack. And so if they're going to come with all those costs, then I want to see some things on the positive side of the ledger. And the thing a big box can do if done well is it can speed up and assist players in the actual playing of the game, which is what we wanted to do with this. So let's look at how it works.
Our big child.
Our big child. So at the very top layer, we have the solo materials, which I should mention. So the Clockwork bot is over here, and this is a bot that can run Citizen, Exile, Chancellor. You can play with multiple bots in one game. It works in games with 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, even I think we've played it with 3 players plus a bot.
Yeah.
Which it worked fine. It kind of like, I would just rather play with a human as the 4th player, but I think it worked pretty well.
The bot held its own.
No.
The bot was better than
the bot
several of us players.
The bot was about to straight win that game.
Yeah.
And over here we have Liz's exciting, still in progress Oath co-op mode, which we'll be talking about in the future. But here it is. It's going to be. I told her it has to take up this much volume because that's how much she's been allocated in the box. Okay, so. Let's take a look at what's inside this box.
She loves when I bully her about it.
Yeah. Okay. So the mat goes here. This bottom tray that is done in foam core, right now the walls will be roughly this thick. This will be a hard plastic tray at the bottom. And let's take a look at like the general organization. So over here we have sleeved. And by the way, not only is this sleeved, because these are prototype cards, they are sleeved with additional paper in them. So they're even taking up more space than a sleeve card would normally take up. But over here we have a big brick of cards. This is all of the archive with floating dividers, the same dividers that we've loved from the original game. Here's one. Boop. One thing I'll say just while the camera's on this, see this brick? This is our dispossessed brick from this copy, which I think is like 8 games in or 9.
It's so chunky.
We're starting to really get up there. And then over here in the front, there's a little section for the edifices, which by the way, I can kind of show people just like this. The treatment of the edifices.
We have a ruin side again.
They have a ruin side again. We will have sleeves that will properly accommodate them, so don't worry about that yet. But we have like we've gone back to having proper ruin sides on the edifices. And there's the deck of 30. They go in their own little section. And then what are these little things?
These are spacers, just in case.
Just in case. We don't.
This is the emergency stop sign.
Yeah, that's the emergency stop sign. there's a possibility that this expansion does really well and that people want us to keep working on Oath. I will say, as the design lead on it, there is room for a lot more Oath cards to be designed. There's just a lot of design space left, and so I wanted to make sure that there was room to put additional cards in this box. So if in the future we do a Denizen pack or 2 or even 3 Denizen packs, there would be plenty of room.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is enough space to do a full another sleeved 60 card expansion plus additional 36 edifices.
Yeah, which,
So, another 100 cards.
That sounds like a good idea for an expansion we should maybe do sometime. Okay, so then we have in the middle, these are the Chronicle cards. These have undergone some change. I'm not going to bother talking about them now. They're wordy primarily because they're dev-pilled. Like when we're working on development, you want to put all the rules on the actual thing. These will be a lot easier on the eyes once I am kicked off of them. And then this is the setting up your first game, Rise of the First Chancellor like scenario. This scenario card lets you play a game without the Chancellor to figure out who is going to be the first Chancellor and how they came to power. These are the dials for the People's Favor and the Darkest Secret. They have fun spinners. We are working on these. We will have a new version of these probably next month, so I'm not going to talk about them in too much detail, but just know that like these are the new banners. They're a lot bigger. They're going to be really, really neat components. And then beneath them, we've got some storage trays.
Yeah, so we have 2 storage trays. One, they are the same silhouette as what's in the base box, and they're going to include enough space for all of Deluxe Components 1 and 2. Or, of course, you can have your cardboard in them.
Yeah,
Like,
we
don't
this to
judge.
me is like a good, like of course you would probably put the vision marker, the turn marker, and like whatever the current oath is in this chamber. And remember, the Deluxe Component 2 includes dice.
Yeah.
These dice, by the way, are just playtesty custom dice. Don't think like, oh God, that's the Queen of Shadow die. It's not. This is a Con of the North promotional D10.
They give us so many.
But you are going to get an additional, I think it's 6 orange dice and 4 blue dice. I can't remember the precise numbers, but you are going to get additional warband and defense dice. Okay, yep. So those go in the middle, but we will of course have finger, holes for easy grabbing and all that. We also are working on an adjustment to the metal coins. We are going to have coins that are ×3s that are. Oh my gosh, have you not?
I didn't know that.
Okay, surprise everyone. We're working on some more coins.
I knew the 5-time secret, but...
Yeah, we've got a 5-time secret. We've got a coin thing. They are going for sampling right now. Over here is where the traits and relics, the govern tiles are in a little bag right there. This is where all the foundations and the traits are. By the way, I'll show everyone. We have this lovely like new, whoops, you've already seen these. Where are my trait cards? Here we have, these are the new layout for the trait cards. I guess I'll put them like this so you can actually see. Just a much cleaner layout that's actually sensitive to how the game works. I will be posting a Kickstarter update literally right at the end of this stream. And in that stream, there are pictures of some of the things we're showing you that are in resolution where you'll be able to read the text. So
Imagine.
This is one of my favorite things that is being added. This is the Atlas box.
The world's sturdiest atlas.
The world's sturdiest Atlas box. It is going to be it'll be the same thickness as a box. Almost certainly will have a magnetic flap. The Atlas box stores the world, all the cards in the world. If you haven't followed along with development, one important change in Oath is that the sites in the world deck, that's not the correct way of saying that at all. The sites in the game are in a somewhat fixed order. And so this Atlas box, when you're populating the Empire, after you put the Empire out, you decide if you want to go kind of to the east or to the west, and that determines which side you're drawing cards from. So this keeps it all very organized, and then it's going to have like a boat neck line or something like kind of a scoop neck, because you can, from this side, you're able to see what you're exploring, if there are edifices there, how many relics are at that site, things like that. So there's this box.
You can revisit the sites that you fought over last game, or you can try to explore new frontiers.
And then over here, what are these little guys? Oh, these are like, this is the actual world deck. Right.
Yep.
So the actual world deck, this I think is a really cool improvement. I'm very happy we were able to do this. the world deck has its own zone. So like the archive is over here, the world deck is in its own place. You just pull it right out. And then on top of it, we have a big brick of player boards. So, and I'll show underneath it, we'll talk about these in a second. But these player boards, these are going to be included in new foundations, almost certainly. I think there was like a small world where we put the special player boards in this box, but almost certainly they're just going to be in new foundations. These are slightly thinner profile boards that have a lot of the player aid text pulled off of them. And then we have I don't know where they're at. I don't even know if they're in this box. But we have a card, a tarot-sized card that you can put to the left of your player board that includes all of the information of the actions and things like that. So if you want that UI, you can have it. But in terms of actual play, like these player boards are a lot smaller than the original player boards, but they allow, they just make the game take up less space, and they store a lot more easily. Yeah. And so you can see in here we have the new player board. In doing the player board layouts, one of the reasons I wanted to do it is on the back side, all of the important rules about citizenship have been totally not changed, but re-templated. So, you know, they have names like Seal of the Empire, Chancellor's Eye, Common Defense. And you can, if you've ever had a question about like, oh, you're attacking an Imperial player, can I help? Like, it's here. It's on the flippin' citizen board. You can just refer to this. And then lastly, we have these player boxes. So the player boxes are going to be pre-built. There'll almost certainly be some manner of card stock. There's the Chancellor one. So this has all the Chancellor pieces in it. And if you open it up, you will have, this is the reliquary. It's got room for the reliquary, room for any traits, and then of course all the Chancellor pieces are in there. And you'll note that these are sleeved, and so there's plenty of space. There you go, and I will fold this up. These were made with our silhouette cutter, and Megan Gainey did all of the design for these boxes, making them look like books.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I did the world's worst, like, awkward fold of printer paper, and I'm like, something like this. Yes. And then she came back with this beautiful box.
Yeah, and they're just great. I mean, and you know, you're gonna, like me, you're like, no, this should be like that, so they're all right in order. Again, like, you can see hopefully at a glance how this kind of simplifies setup, because you pull out the board, you draw it out. All of the cards on the world are going to come from this box. You'll just put those out. People, you pass out player boards and the lineages. You just grab those. Anything that you might need to grab in the middle of the game or at the end of the game, like an edifice, it has its separate little box here. So this box will be on the table for setup and teardown, but you know, you can put it on the shelf when you're not playing or on a sideboard or something, and it just gets out of the way. We usually like put ours on the floor of the table, or on the floor next to the table. And I have found that like even playing with this, we routinely deconstruct the game and reset it up using the big box. It takes hardly any time. Yeah. It's very clean.
I mean, it's literally toss that out, slam, slam.
This is like we're gonna do a contest because I think there's we're okay. And then you have to deal out those sites. And
we're done.
And we're done. And I will say the dealing of the sites is like it's just very easy. Like you're going through and you're basically just like pulling out the sites and then populating them. And if they have cards on top of them, you just fan them out like the normal way. So yeah, we could, I will say in a serious way, if we had players around this table, we could be playing a game of both in like under 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Without any exaggeration. Okay, so this big box will include some custom punch for some like little things. It will include these player boxes. It includes 9, which is 8?
8.
8. It includes 8, which cover all of the player colors and the Chancellor. So even if you don't have some hypothetical future person who wouldn't have like deluxe components too, the player boxes for all of the player colors are in the big box. And then you get this really nice Atlas box, and there's this vacuum tray. And it will be packed with different kinds of foam blocks so that if you don't sleeve, things like that, it'll all hold, stay put. We haven't done tests yet, but you should be able to even store it potentially on any side, with the exception that the cards are the heavy part. And so you should probably put them on that side. But like the Blighted Reach box, it will be built to be kind of stored from any direction and should be full by volume, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you want this box, so we know this box is not for everybody. If you have a copy of Oath that you love, and especially if you don't sleeve, you can actually put all of New Foundations in your copy of Oath. And you could even fit in a lot of the deluxe components and things with like a tiny bit of box lift, or if you're very careful about how you pack it up, you can make it work. But if you want a storage solution that makes the game really easy to set up and tear down, and you don't mind paying a little extra, then you want this box. It's a great object for you. So you can find it on the backer kit. If you go to the backer kit right now, the Oath storage box is listed. It will have a retail price of $50. Almost certainly. We have tried to price it with various tariff doomsday scenarios in mind, but things are hard right now. The big box will ship with your pledge. And critically, it will never enter regular retail channels. Yeah. So the box is never going to go into distribution channels. If a store wants to buy the box from us, we'll of course sell it to the store at our usual retail prices. But this is not something that is ever going to end up on like Cool Stuff or any of those like websites. It's a deluxe product. It is for people who really love this game and really want to invest in it. And we hope you like it. I mean, I will certainly use the heck out of my big box.
Yeah, it's very much a product that is built to hold the base game, both the New Foundations expansion, the solo expansion,
and both of the deluxe.
Deluxe 1 and 2, and any future cards.
And it was just one of those things where I was comparing it to like if I wanted to like play a game of Oath and have everything at my fingertips, I actually kind of want a box that makes it easy to play. And that has been, I've talked a lot in the past about my very mixed feelings about big boxes as products. And I usually tell people, like, I don't like big boxes because sometimes they feel like game coffins. Like, they feel like the game goes there to die. Like, once you have the big box, you're never, like, properly playing it. But that's really because I think big boxes are often horribly designed. And when we were working on the Blighted Reach campaign, we made it as a goal to figure out how do we build a box that actually lends itself to the act of playing. And I have been so happy with how that box has been received and just how it plays in practice. And so I want to make sure that we can give that treatment to Oath as well, especially because we're doing it while we are designing the components, right? Yeah. So the fact that we can go in and say like, okay, we know that box is going to be used in this way, let's engineer the box to really make the experience of play as clean, as smooth as possible. So very happy with everyone's work, especially your work coordinating all this, Alita. This is a massive project. Like again, we are 2.5 months into it. We probably have another month to go. I think we are about to submit some specs to the factory, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. Then we'll have the endless back and forth. It will take a long time for us to sort through it. So probably in a month or two, we'll be able to have pictures of like early white samples from a factory as they're sort of figuring out how the trays are going to work. These kinds of storage solutions take considerable studio resources to do. So we do not undertake them lightly at all. Mm-hmm. And then a really good question. Will the big box work if I don't get the solo modes? Yes. So like basically this top layer right here, here's how we're imagining doing it. I'll just kind of explain this very briefly. If we can go to a top view, I will show you. Okay, yeah, that's perfect. So right now we have this tray for the solo. Whoops, thank you. And then we have this tray for the co-op. The idea, it looks fine.
It's fine.
Oh, thank you. So, Leah did a good job and will not tolerate me screwing it up. This tray right here is going to be in the solo box.
Yeah.
And then whatever is over here for co-op, there will either be another tray or some kind of bag system. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't own co-op, when you get the box, it'll look like this, and we will have pieces of either foam or paper batting, like cardboard on top, which you can just take off and then put back to kind of like lock everything down. Or if you store the game horizontally, you can just pitch it. You don't necessarily need it. But the box will fully close, be fully contained, even if you don't have the solo and co-op. And I suspect for some players who like maybe don't have co-op but do have special components that they like to play Oath with, or they have an additional journal or things like that, there will be room for that kind of stuff in the box.
If you want to make your own custom cards with the card building kit we've made, Can fill up another row.
I mean,
whole archive
that's the
ground.
thing. It's like we wanted to provide. This is the same thing about with Blighted Reach. When I was working on it, I would run into people who would say with the Blighted Reach box, like, why would you make a big box? You don't know how big Blighted Reach is going to be. And I'm like, that's just an engineering problem. We are making a guess. We are trying to give the thing room to grow. We will do our best that we can at this moment. And we want to create an object that also is kind of flexible, because the Oath community, I mean, y'all know what to do. Like, you will invent all sorts of really interesting ways to use these objects that I can't possibly conceive. And I'm just happy to give everyone like a little bit of a bigger canvas. So there it is. If you want to add it to your pledge, you can find it.
Your marking representative would like it known that this box is not called a big box. It is simply a storage box or something else. All of you, don't start calling it a big box. I won't have it. I'll kick you from the Discord. Thank you. Thank you. That's been Matt. Bye. Bye.
Okay. Sorry, the Oath storage box. The Oath storage box.
We got so long.
Look, look, everyone. It's tense here. No, in short, the storage box is something you can add to your pledge. It does not come included in the pledge. I want to talk about this for a second. We priced it at $50. That is basically at the low end for what the production costs of it are, because we know that we're going to be selling a lot more direct. The reason why we built it as its own product is we are already including a ton of stuff in the new Oath expansion. There's not like a lot of budgetary room for us to like stuff a giant storage solution into a game. But I had this feeling that there would be like actual hunger and interest in this kind of product. So we broke it off to its own thing, right? And so we think this is the way that we can allow people who want this to get the best version of it. And the people who do not care about this, well, this isn't for you. Don't worry about it.
You're free.
You're free.
I absolve you.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about
You
this.
own all the game.
New Foundations is not getting
believe in
worse
you.
because we are working on the storage box. But again, it is a $50 add to your pledge, and you can alter your pledge right now in BackerKit. Whereas the root GameFound Pledge Manager is closing on June 9th, we are keeping the Oath Pledge Manager open much longer, at least a month or two longer. We'll have more details about that later. If you want to add this to your pledge, you can do it right now, and it shouldn't mess up anything. So don't write support an email, because you can probably do it yourself. Okay, that's it. That's it. All right.
We made good time.
We made good time. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful May. We'll see you in June.